There is a sentence built into the morning itself. You heard it before you were old enough to question it. It came from parents, teachers, cereal boxes, doctors. It stopped feeling like advice. It started feeling like biology, like something your body required, like something proven. But follow the sentence back to its origin. Something shifts. The origin of this claim is not a hospital. It is a boardroom. This is the story of how a marketing slogan became health gospel. Not through research, through repetition and money. John Harvey Kellogg runs a sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan. Kellogg creates a grain-based product for his sanitarium patients. His brother Will Keith sees a commercial opportunity immediately. Will Keith mass produces and sells it to the general public. The challenge, how to make people eat cereal every single morning. C.W. Post, a Kellogg patient, becomes his biggest competitor. Post publishes pamphlets claiming his cereal prevents illness. He calls his product a health food, no evidence required. Grape nuts, Post Toasties, corn flakes, the market floods. The cereal industry grows. The breakfast habit grows with it. In 1944, the Grape Nuts brand funds a massive national campaign. Campaign name, Eat a Good Breakfast, Do a Better Job. Grocery stores, doctors, and magazines all carry the message. It reaches 50 million Americans in its first year. The phrase, most important meal, enters public consciousness. Not from a study, not from a doctor, from a cereal brand. The claim has no scientific birth date, only a marketing birth date. Decades later, scientists begin studying breakfast seriously. They find associations between breakfast eating and better outcomes. But a fundamental problem emerges. Who is funding the research? The cereal industry funds research that validates its own product. Industry-funded nutrition studies produce favorable results more often. This is documented in peer-reviewed literature. It is a known bias. When independent researchers study breakfast, results change. The funded science created the evidence the marketing needed. The key finding: breakfast benefits depend entirely on the person. For people who wake genuinely hungry, breakfast clearly helps. For people who wake without hunger, forcing breakfast does not help. Hunger at waking is regulated by circadian biology and genetics. Forcing breakfast on non-hungry people adds unnecessary calories. Some of the strongest breakfast evidence involves food-insecure children. The benefit is not breakfast. The benefit is not being hungry. Hunger impairs cognition. Feeding hunger removes the impairment. The research variable was hunger. Breakfast just happened to address it. Then came research that complicated the breakfast narrative further. Intermittent fasting, deliberately skipping breakfast, is now studied. Many people function well without morning meals. Metabolic markers often improve for fasting practitioners. For some, skipping breakfast reduced total daily calorie intake naturally. For others, skipping breakfast caused overeating later in the day. Individual metabolic responses to fasting vary enormously. The research on breakfast timing is genuinely mixed and contested. What it is not is settled. What it is not is most important. Meanwhile, the cereal industry's marketing grew far more sophisticated. General Mills, Kellogg's, Post, multi-billion-dollar global companies. They spend hundreds of millions annually on breakfast promotion. They sponsor nutritional research and dietitian training programs. They fund government dietary guidelines committee members. The result? Breakfast recommendations built on industry-shaped science. This is the same mechanism as the fat myth and the sugar research. Confident repetition, industry interest, policy window, time. Now look at what breakfast was actually being promoted for. The cereals of the 1940s and 1950s were heavily processed. Many contained significant added sugar and refined carbohydrates. Sugar spikes blood glucose rapidly, triggering a sharp insulin response. The mid-morning energy crash follows the breakfast sugar spike. That crash creates hunger, which creates the need for more cereal. The product designed as breakfast creates the hunger it claims to solve. This applies to most ultra-processed breakfast foods, not just cereal. Fruit juice, marketed as the healthy breakfast drink, is liquid sugar. Orange juice has more sugar per serving than many sodas. Strip away the marketing and breakfast is simply your first meal. When you eat it, what you eat, whether you eat, all individual. Your hunger at waking depends on when you last ate. It depends on sleep quality, stress levels, and your hormones. It depends on your chronotype and your individual metabolic rate. The best breakfast is the one that matches your body's actual signals, not the one that matches a slogan created to sell cereal in 1944. What does the evidence actually support about morning eating? Eating when genuinely hungry supports better food quality choices. Protein-rich morning meals improve satiety over carb-heavy ones. Meal composition matters far more than meal timing. Blood sugar stability throughout the day supports sustained energy. Stability comes from fiber, protein, and fat, not from meal timing. For time-restricted eaters, documented benefits are real. For people who thrive on 3 meals, including breakfast, that works too. There is no universal meal timing rule for every human body. What works is what matches your biology, not what a brand decided. This story matters beyond breakfast. It is a pattern. It shows how industry shapes the health advice you receive, not through deception alone, through structural influence at every level. Researchers who receive industry funding produce favorable results. Dietitians trained on sponsored curricula teach those lessons as fact. Government guidelines reflect the committees and their funding ties. None of this requires bad actors. It requires a system without firewalls. The advice reaching you has traveled through that system. Breakfast advice is one example. The mechanism repeats elsewhere. So what should you actually do about breakfast? Listen to your body's actual hunger signals when you wake. If you wake hungry, eat. Choose protein, fiber, and healthy fat. If you wake without hunger, not eating is a valid biological choice. Do not eat because a 1944 slogan instructs you to. Do not skip because intermittent fasting is currently trending. The question is never which meal is most important. The question is, what does your body need and when? Those questions have individual answers, not universal ones. The most important meal is the one your body asks for, not the one a cereal company decided you needed in 1944. That sentence has followed you since childhood. You were never given the context that produced it. Now you have it. The context changes the claim. The next time you feel guilty for skipping breakfast, remember the boardroom. The next time you eat breakfast because you're hungry, enjoy it fully. The next time someone delivers this claim as settled truth, ask. Not who said it, not how long it's been repeated. How do we know? It was a slogan, delivered as nutrition science. Follow the money.